the second assignment for writing for performance, assignment 2. I don't know how I've done on this one yet because I'm still waiting for the mark. I get a lot of my marks back this month in June, so hopefully it's gone okay. This is the replacement assignment because obviously with everything going on with COVID-19, that originally we were going to be able, if we felt we could, we were going to perform one of our poems at like university, at like one of the kind of either the graduation showcase, or I think it was the graduation showcase. So it was like some kind of show, an event like celebrating the sort of creative elements of our courses, and it was going to be like an evening of poetry and stuff like that, like an open mic kind of event, which I've never done before. And I thought, oh, actually, I think I would like to try and give it a go and perform one of my poems, which would have been nerve-wracking, but I think it would have also been a positive experience. But unfortunately, because of COVID, obviously that didn't happen. That ended up being shut down very quickly. So, and if we weren't going to perform a poem, the other way we were going to be assessed was, it was like putting on the event, so there would have been different roles, and I just started to have flashbacks to like literary prizes and public acclaim where we had to put on the flipping writing competition, and I wanted to cry because I thought, yeah, I'm not being involved in any of the communications or any of that. I'd be like, no, I would rather put myself on stage and read out a poem to people than be involved in the organisation side of it, because I was like, no, like PTSD, I'm not doing that. So this is the replacement assignment, and we had to write a 1,000 word critical reflective essay, which is like when you really strip down and focus on the creative choices you made and why. But obviously this was very catered towards the performative element of our pieces, because obviously this module is all about writing for performance. I've taken a risk with one bit of the criteria, which may backfire or may pay off, because it was only a 1,000 word essay, and they were kind of talking about like reflecting on how you perform your poems, monologues, etc. And I thought, for starters, I'm not going to feasibly be able to talk about all of my creative pieces in this restricted word limit, even with the 10% over. That's not happening. So I decided to go for The Mermaid of Fiji, out of all my, and I made this clear in my introduction to say, like, I've thought about this. So I chose The Mermaid of Fiji to talk about, and I'll read you the criteria. So we've got reflect on how you perform your poems, monologues, etc., taking into account such aspects of performance such as emphasis, pause, pace, and tone. So it's like, okay, I'm going to talk about The Mermaid of Fiji. Annotate a sample of your finished creative work to show how you have considered the performance. Creative work will not form part of the assessed word count. This is the bit where I tried to be clever, and it may backfire and may not go well, but I decided, for my own sanity, to integrate quotes from The Mermaid of Fiji, which I believe would be classed as a sample, but actually integrate it purposefully into my essay to back up my points for all the other criteria, and to show like this stimulus led to the creation of this line and these techniques, and like, to actually evidence it. Because I just thought that, because the other thing is, when you do your creative pieces, it's not just writing your first drafts. You have to show like your annotated first drafts. You don't just write it and submit it. You have to do annotation for all of that, and I do really detailed annotations because I actually put effort into my, I'm not saying that other people don't on my course, but I, along with other people, put a lot of effort into crafting our creative pieces. So I wasn't about to redo this for this assignment that has come up because of COVID. I was like, no, that doesn't make sense to me. And I have done a sample, but I've done it in a different way. So that may backfire on me, but I'm hoping not, because I was trying to show it coherently in a way that made sense to me. And at university, the whole point of university is that you become an independent thinker, and you do it. You do what's required, but you do it in your own way, so long as it's meeting the criteria. So it'll be interesting to see what grade I get. Then it was demonstrate in detail how you have taken influence from published work, and Mermaid of Fiji was perfect for this because there were some different examples that I had, but predominantly I took inspiration from a book called The Natural and Unnatural Histories of Mermaids, I believe it was called, and other odd, I can't remember the exact title, but there was a specific book that I used for the, like, not conjuring, but like the creation of the Mermaid of Fiji. I used like a particular book to help me, by Jane Bonderson, and it was a really good book. Show your awareness of poetic and spoken word techniques and devices. So that's once again just talking about the techniques you use within my poem. So I talked about how I had multiple narrative voices and how that gave us a collaboration opportunity. Like, I talked about how you can include costumes and props and like lots of different things. Although actually, no, sorry, that was linking in with the performance element of it. But within it, I talked about the techniques I used and why I used them for the audience and stuff. And then the last bit was demonstrate an engagement with at least one performance poet or spoken word artist, and I used I want to say Philip, but I think it's Phil K, and he's just quite a prolific young spoken word poet out and about, and he had an amazing spoken word poem that you can see on YouTube, Button Poetry. If you're into performative word poetry, please watch Button Poetry. They're amazing. They like post all these brilliant talented poets, and it's just wonderful listening to their poems. And I chose to focus on Phil K and his poem Repetition, which is all about how his parents divorced when he was young and how he developed a stutter, and it's brilliant. It's a really powerful poem. So I kind of used that to talk about how his techniques inspired techniques in my own poem and the reasons for that. So that was kind of it for this assignment. It was a replacement assignment. It wasn't that it wasn't enjoyable, it was just a lot of criteria to condense into only 1,000 words. So it was a bit like, okay, but it's not our lecturer's fault at all, because I mean, no one could have predicted COVID. It was just so weird because on literally the Friday, I was so lucky I had a tutorial with my lecturer about my writing, so the assignment 1 on the Friday. And obviously this was when COVID was about and it was starting to ramp up a bit, and we were like, okay. And then I can't remember, I think he said something like, I may or may not see you like next week or something, and I was like, yeah. And I was like, yeah, you too. And then literally Friday evening, that same day, it was literally like, university is now in lockdown, no one is to come back to university, you're all at home now. And it was like, okay. I was like, well. And then everything was like, well, that assignment's going to change. A lot of my assignments going to change. Okay. So I hope everyone's keeping well. And as always, if anyone has any questions, please feel free to comment below. Bye.